My sister-in-law asked her niece, Anne, who was on summer vacation, to take a taxi to my place, saying I needed to tutor her. But when she arrived, she fainted and was dead by the time we got her to the hospital. The doctor said she'd accidentally swallowed insect repellent spray. At the hospital, my sister-in-law wailed, demanding I compensate her for her child. Heartbroken, I agreed to all her demands. But on the day of Anne's funeral, I overheard her and my mom in the bathroom, gleefully talking. "Mom, this is perfect. It cleared the way for my son in my belly and got Chelsea's money. A win-win." I stormed out, but in my agitation, I suffered a heart attack and died. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day my sister-in-law wanted Anne to come over. "Chelsea, and we'll be there soon. She's taking a taxi herself, so you don't need to pick her up. Let her walk back from the drop-off point. How dare you even take a summer vacation with grades like that? Hurry up and get over to Chelsea's. I can't stand looking at you here." Seeing the WeChat message from my sister-in-law on my cell phone, it hit me, I was reborn. Last life, when I saw this message, I immediately went downstairs to pick up my niece, Anne. The moment I saw her, her face was pale, and she looked completely drained, walking towards me with a slight tremor. I felt so bad for her and immediately sensed something was wrong, so I grabbed a taxi to take her to the hospital. But just 200 or 300 meters from the hospital, her head slowly slumped against me. I panicked, scooped her up, and rushed into the emergency room. When the doctor came out and shook his head, my world collapsed. I grabbed him, my mouth trembling. "Doctor, please save her. She's just a little girl." But the doctor told me Anne had swallowed insect repellent spray, which caused the collapse. When my sister-in-law and mom arrived, they glared at me with intense hatred. "Chelsea, even if you hate Anne, you can't just let her die." Then she slapped me hard across the face. I was stunned, drifting through the next few days in a daze. During that time, I met every unreasonable demand my sister-in-law made, because I felt immensely guilty. I even blamed myself. Until the day of Anne's funeral, when my sister-in-law and mom thought I was asleep, I overheard their conversation. "Mom, your plan was brilliant. It solved the Anne problem and ensures Chelsea will do whatever we say from now on. Now I have a reason to take Chelsea's house. What's a single woman doing with such a big house anyway? Mom, don't worry, I had it checked. I'm carrying a boy. Get ready to hold your grandson." My mom was beaming, and the fear of being manipulated by my own family made me clench my teeth in anger in the bathroom. I stormed out to confront them, but the words wouldn't come out. Anne's death, coupled with the lack of sleep, made me faint. My body went limp and I collapsed. After I died, my sister-in-law pulled my mom aside and sneered, "Mom, it's better she's dead. Saves us so much trouble." They didn't call an ambulance until half an hour after I died, and the doctor pronounced me dead on arrival. My sister-in-law and mom cried crocodile tears. Just thinking about it now makes me grit my teeth, but this life, I'll make them taste the bitterness of unspeakable suffering. But I can't be like her and disregard Anne's life. Last life, the doctor told me the child suffered from heat stroke and had swallowed insect repellent spray. If she'd arrived sooner, they could have saved her. I immediately called for an ambulance, grabbed the cooling patch and warm water I had prepared in the refrigerator, and rushed out. Sure enough, just outside the neighborhood, I saw Anne walking towards me. Her small body was already swaying. I was a little surprised. My sister-in-law said she had called a taxi for Anne. Why didn't the taxi drop her off at the gate? I couldn't think about it now. I rushed to meet her and gave her the warm water. I saw someone drinking water so urgently for the first time. I quickly patted her back and said, "And, take it easy, Aunt Chelsea will get you more later." And has always been a well-behaved child, and her sister-in-law has very high requirements for her, whether it is food, clothing, housing, transportation, including the current study, are high standards. But this child is like the child of someone else's family in everyone's mouth, who is both obedient and sensible, and never worries people. At this moment, the ambulance rushed towards this side, and I waved to him. After getting in the ambulance, my hanging heart was finally somewhat relieved. I took out my cell phone and saw that my sister-in-law's calls and messages almost exploded it. But now is not the time. After arriving at the hospital and was immediately pushed into the operating room. When asked about the family, I said I was, and signed my name without hesitation, waiting for her to come out at the door. God blesses me, this life finally gave Anne a chance to start over. I paid the money, and when Anne was pushed out, her face was pale. When we were transferred to the hospital room, I sent a message to my sister-in-law, who had already collapsed. As a result, she and my mom arrived at the hospital in less than 10 minutes, just like in the previous life. At that time, I was focused on Anne's death, and I was completely unaware that if they had arrived at the normal speed, they would have needed at least an hour. But now it only took 10 minutes to arrive, which shows that it was premeditated. The hospital room was a 3-person room, and 2 other older sisters were closing their eyes and taking a nap. As soon as my sister-in-law and my mom came in, they cried and cried at Anne on the hospital bed. "My Anne, my baby, you left so young, how can mom live?" My mom was even more exaggerated, and immediately knelt down and started slapping herself in the face. "My precious granddaughter, it's all grandma's fault, grandma shouldn't have let you go to your aunt. I didn't expect your aunt to be so cruel. She even dared to feed you insect repellent spray." The remaining 2 older sisters in the ward were inexplicably cried by the 2 of them and wanted to comfort them, but they were preempted. "2 older sisters, don't speak to my heartless daughter, she is simply not human." One of the older sisters in the middle finally couldn't help it and interrupted them. "Are you really the child's family? The child is not dead. Who are you crying for here?" After hearing the older sister's words, my mom and my sister-in-law were stunned, and the tears were in their eyes, not knowing whether to change or not to drop. My mom didn't react and retorted reflexively, "How is it possible, and clearly 8. Before she could finish her words, she was immediately covered by her sister-in-law, who had reacted. "Mom, isn't it a good thing that Anne didn't die? What are you talking about?" After speaking, she pulled up my mom who was still kneeling. "Mom, this is all thanks to Chelsea, otherwise, we wouldn't have Anne." I know the meaning of my sister-in-law's sentence, which is clearly to remind my mom that if it wasn't for me, Anne would have died by now. Sure enough, after seeing the hidden look on my mom's face, I smiled and opened my mouth. "You're joking, sister-in-law, mainly I don't know how Anne came over from home by herself. Insect repellent on?" I saw her suddenly become flustered, and then she began to defend herself. "What are you talking about? How could I not call a taxi for her? I clearly did. And that insect repellent spray, she must have drank it because she was naughty. What does it have to do with me?" My mom saw that I was making things difficult for my sister-in-law, and immediately stood up and said to my sister-in-law, "Chels, yay, how can you say that about your sister-in-law? It must be that this little girl is disobedient. She is always like this, she often eats things randomly at home. How can you blame your sister-in-law? Besides, I told you before to take her over during the summer vacation, but you have been slow to take her over. Who can be blamed? And taking a taxi, how can it be so delicate? Even if you walk, it's nothing." My mom has always disliked, and even if I have been persuading her that boys and girls are the same, it is useless. In the past few years, my sister-in-law has not been in good health and has been recuperating, so Anne has spent her summer and winter vacations with me. It's just that in the past 1 or 2 years, she is obviously different from her peers. She doesn't like to laugh, and she doesn't like to talk. She is not as lively as before. I immediately grabbed the cell phone from my sister-in-law's hand, and after seeing the verification code, I logged into their home surveillance and her taxi app. Just when they didn't react, after logging into both of them, I saw the display on the taxi app. I was almost angered to death by this kind of parent. They called her for a total of 800 meters, just because there was a coupon that could be deducted, and after the deduction, they only needed to pay 0.5 yuan. I showed the display on the software to the 2 older sisters in the same ward with a blank expression, and then turned to the 2 of them. "It's a total of 6 kilometers from your home to my house, and you called her for 800 meters, is this what you call taking a taxi? Also, in such hot weather, you let the child walk 6 kilometers alone. Are you still human?" Thinking of the tragic situation in the previous life, and thinking of their conversation, there was no softness in my heart at all. My sister-in-law saw me say this and stopped pretending and grabbed her cell phone back. What do you know? Children of her age need to exercise more. What's wrong with me doing this? I think this child was spoiled by you at your house, so you have to coax everything. I ignored her, but directly turned on the surveillance and watched it. My sister-in-law wanted to get closer to see what I was watching, but I dodged it. She had a ghost in her heart, so she sat on the ground and started acting shamelessly. Stealing money! This dead girl must have secretly transferred my money. Let me see, if there is less money, I will make you look good. She opened her cell phone, and without even clicking on the balance, she started shouting loudly again. Stole my money! 10,000 yuan in my WeChat is gone. You hurry up. Give it back to me. I snorted coldly and looked at her with a blank expression. Really? Show me the evidence? You said I transferred your money, there should be a transfer record, right? My sister-in-law paused, straightened her body, and said righteously. Who knows what you did with the cell phone? You must have deleted all these records. I don't understand. Don't say so much. These two older sisters have seen you grab my cell phone, right? She straightened her body and turned to look over, hoping that the two older sisters could say a word for her. It's just that these two are both sensible people. Everything they did to and just now, plus the thing they just admitted, made the two older sisters full of contempt for their sister-in-law. My sister-in-law saw that the two of them ignored her, and immediately her expression became ferocious. Bitches! You are all bitches. I tell you, it's no use for anyone to come today. Anyway, you have to compensate me for this money. After speaking, she lay on the ground and pretended to be dead, and my mom took care of her, pulling her sister-in-law. The ground is cold. Hurry, hurry, get up. The two older sisters looked at me helplessly. Is this really your own mom? Is she her mother-in-law? I pulled the cor. As of my mouth sourly. I wish it wasn't true. Yes, these two people obviously knew at this time that their sister-in-law was pregnant with a boy, but their whole plan was disrupted by me, and they couldn't wait to find something to compensate for from me. Just when the two of them were making a scene, a voice came from the door. Who called the police? Someone is abusing children? I called the police. The firm tone made my sister-in-law immediately uneasy, and she didn't dare to sit on the ground and immediately crawled up. My mom saw the scene, stepped forward and grabbed the police's hand, pointed at me, and told lies. Police officers, this is all done by my unworthy daughter. It was her who insisted on letting us send our granddaughter, saying that she wanted to tutor her. God knows how she treated my precious granddaughter. It made her lie in the hospital now, and also, the doctor also said that she drank insect repellent spray. It must have been fed by her. The two older sisters were shocked by my mom's operation, and they opened their mouths and couldn't speak. However, after seeing what my mom said, my sister-in-law immediately echoed. Yes, police officers, it's her who abused my daughter. You quickly take her away. She also stole my money. You have to find it all back for me. The police saw that you were saying one thing and I was saying another, and they were also confused, so they asked again. Did you call the police? They looked at each other and stopped talking, and I stepped forward and said, Police officers, I called the police. Because I was going to the police station to make a statement, I called the nurse I had just found and asked her to take care of it, and then I went to the police station with them. After arriving at the police station, before the police started taking notes, my sister-in-law shouted that the police had brought them all over. Police officers, we have all said that. It was her alone who abused my daughter. Why did you bring us all over? The police glanced at her and said coldly to her, whether it is or not, you have to investigate to know. It's just that the guilty conscience in her eyes made her voice louder. What else needs to be investigated? How could I abuse her? Do you people have brains? What are you doing by arresting us innocent people? My mom also followed behind her sister-in-law and said, That's right, we didn't do anything wrong. What are you doing by bringing us over? Just take that bitch. I didn't say anything on the side, and I was sighing in my heart that the two of them were so stupid. Shouting here like this would only make the police have a bad impression of you. This hasn't even started the investigation yet, it's simply exposing your nature. During the interrogation, the three of us were in a large interrogation room, and the sharp voices of my sister-in-law and my mom began to echo in the room, which was extremely harsh. The police were so annoyed by their noise that they slammed the table angrily. Enough! Look where this is. This is not the place for you to quarrel. The two of them were completely shocked, and the police officer who interrogated turned to look at me. Since you are the one who called the police, do you have any evidence? Of course I do. As soon as this was said, my sister-in-law and my mom looked at me nervously. I took out the surveillance video I had just found and showed it to them. In the video, it was 6 days ago, when Anne had just returned home. But because she said her test scores, she was slapped by her sister-in-law until she couldn't stand up, and she was still cursing non-stop. Tell me, I sent you to school, and you got this kind of grades? Tell me what use you are. You might as well die sooner. After speaking, she directly locked her into the room and locked the door. For a whole 5 days, her sister-in-law didn't have any video of letting her out. Until this morning, when she wanted to see if she was still breathing, she suddenly found that and had drank the whole bottle of insect repellent spray. Everyone was shocked by this scene. A whole bottle of insect repellent spray, what kind of situation would make a child choose to drink this? For a whole 5 days, even if there were some snacks or something in the room, it wouldn't be able to withstand these few days, and it was still without water. When her sister-in-law smelled the smell in the room, she started punching and kicking and like crazy. Bitch! You bastard! How can you urinate and defecate in the room? Don't you know how to knock on the door? Are you stupid? While hitting and scolding, even if video was shot in the surveillance, and her sister-in-law was very smart, she would only hit her stomach, buttocks, and back, not answering the exposed skin. But we have all seen it, and in the surveillance, and was knocking on the door and crying to her, Mom, I was wrong, I will definitely do better next time, please let me out. The child has been inside for 6 days, and she even asked her not to urinate or defecate. The police present clenched their fists tightly when they saw it, and if it wasn't for this police uniform, they might have wanted to rush up and beat her. Her sister-in-law was still talking tough. You don't have children, you don't understand that kind of anger. She could have done well on the test. This time it must be because she wanted to play and didn't want to study hard. Isn't this supposed to be beaten? I think it's too light. After hearing this sentence, I said, gnashing my teeth. Police officer, can I now report to the police for intentional homicide? Her sister-in-law heard my words and directly slapped the table and pointed at me. Chelsea, don't think you can scare me just because you read a few years of books. I beat my own daughter. How is that intentional homicide? My mom even jumped and scolded me on the side. I thought you would be filial to us when you grew up, and be good to your brother and sister-in-law, but now it seems that you have read so many years of books and read them all into the dog's belly. You still want to sue your sister-in-law? I tell you, your sister-in-law is now pregnant with the Chen family's eldest grandson. If you dare to sue her, I will die in front of you. Listening to my mom's words, I suddenly had a sense of powerlessness. Even if I don't understand much, I also know that it is impossible to hold her criminally responsible for her own mom beating her child. What's more, I forgot that my sister-in-law is now a pregnant woman. But I hate it in my heart. From childhood to adulthood, I have to keep everything tight for my brother. Is my niece going to live my life back then? Sure enough, this matter still ended with family disputes, and her sister-in-law was released after being seriously educated. After coming out, she ran to the hospital and looked at me triumphantly. How is it? After saying so much and doing so much, I still have to watch me stand here? I ignored them, and her sister-in-law was even more angry and sat on the chair, saying righteously, Chelsea, quickly return my 10,000 yuan to me. That's right. My mom was still helping on the side. It's not easy for your brother to make money, and you still take his money. Do you have any conscience? If I had known that you would be like this when you grew up, I should have strangled you to death as soon as you were born. From childhood to adulthood, as long as I was slightly disobedient or didn't satisfy them, the sentence I heard must be this sentence. I stood up angrily, staring straight at the two of them. Her sister-in-law was stared at by my eyes and her hair stood on end, and her words were a little stuttering. What do you want to do? I tell you, I am a pregnant woman now. Don't mess around. After speaking, she hid behind my mom. Maybe the previous me was too docile, so they couldn't accept it for a while. My eyes became scarlet with anger, staring straight at them. Then you say now that there is no one here and no surveillance. What can happen if I push you down? Her sister-in-law was shocked, and even my mom was scared. I tell you, Chelsea, don't give me an inch. If something happens to your sister-in-law, I won't let you go. I turned to look at her. What will happen to me if you don't let me go? Anyway, your grandson will be gone by then. It's useless for you to kill me. The two of them were completely scared. I had already closed the door and locked it when I came in just now, and at this time, the two of them were standing aside shivering. After I sat down, I started negotiating with the two of them. Since you don't like In so much, then just give her to me. Her sister-in-law should not have thought that I could say such a thing, and she didn't react to what I meant. My mom immediately thought of it, and then opened her mouth. How much money are you going to give us? Her sister-in-law also became interested when she heard this, and cleared her throat and said, That's right, I gave you this big girl, how much money can you give us? I sneered, Give you money? Almost all the tuition fees and living expenses from childhood to adulthood were paid by me. What money did you spend? Besides, I'm helping you raise your daughter. Why do I still have to give you money? My mom immediately retorted, That's not how you say it. Anne's bride price for marrying in the future is not a small amount. You have to give hundreds of thousands. That's right. My daughter can get a lot of money when she gets married. Her sister-in-law's greedy eyes turned and said, Don't ask for much, just give 500,000. I looked at the two women who were asking for a lot of money and smiled. Okay, then you take your dubbed her way, and I won't pay a penny for the living expenses and tuition fees in the future. Why don't you pay? You are the child's aunt. If you don't pay, how hard will your brother work? My mom yelled at me immediately after hearing my words. I didn't even want to give her a look. My money is in my hand. I can spend it if I want to, and I won't spend it if I don't want to. What can you do to me? Go sue me? Okay, let the law judge whether I have an obligation to pay. The two of them were completely speechless, and my mom muttered softly, Then what we two say doesn't count. We have to call your brother. After speaking, she walked into the bathroom, and the three of them were secretly plotting inside. It's just that maybe it was talking about the happy things of several people, and the voice was so loud that I could hear the words inside without eavesdropping. You stupid son, what does it matter if she gives that dead girl to you? This is still your own daughter. When she grows up, she will still be close to you. This is a blood relationship. It can't be erased. The bride price will still be ours by then, but with the money to raise her, it's better to raise your son, my grandson, and besides, Chelsea can raise one and can raise two. Let her raise them all by then. You two just take care of yourself. This wishful thinking is really good. I looked at Anne, who was still unconscious on the bed, and felt very distressed in my heart. I understand what kind of child Anne is, and I also want to do something for myself who couldn't resist in childhood. Fortunately, I applied to the company for a branch transfer application during the day today. In the previous life, I failed to transfer successfully because of Anne's death, but in this life, I want to take into a strange place and live a life that belongs to the two of us. The three of them finally discussed it, and then they said it directly when they came out. Then let's go to adopt T. Tomorrow, it's settled. After Anne is given to you, you can't ask your brother for a penny anymore. Okay. I found a lawyer that night. Because I didn't meet the conditions for adoption, I just asked a friend to move Anne's household registration to my name and signed an agreement and notarized it in front of the lawyer. When signing the agreement, her sister-in-law was still looking at the contents of the agreement, but even if she looked at it, she couldn't understand it. She could only sign her name reluctantly. After everything was taken care of, the nurse called me and told me that Anne was awake. I was so happy that I directly left all of them behind and hurried to the hospital. As a result, the first sentence Anne said when she saw me was, Aunt Chelsea, let's leave the hospital. It will cost a lot of money to be hospitalized. Every time this little guy comes to my place, he doesn't want this or that, for fear of spending an extra penny for me. I smiled and touched her hair. It's okay, and needs to be good, and Aunt Chelsea will be relieved if she is healthy. Just when I took out the household registration book and told her that she would be my child in the future, the little guy suddenly froze. I thought she was unwilling, and I blamed myself for not asking her wishes in advance. Just when I was about to apologize, she suddenly cried loudly. "Aunt Chelsea, in the future, can and not go back to that home anymore." My eyes soured, and I nodded heavily. "Of course, you are Aunt Chelsea's child, of course you have to live with Aunt Chelsea." The little guy cried for a whole half an hour, and in the middle, she kept asking me, making sure that she really didn't have to go back in the future. It seems that this incident really left a big shadow in her heart. Just 2 days later, Anne's body was fine, and when she was about to leave the hospital, this time my mom and my sister-in-law blocked us at the entrance of the hospital again. Anne was frightened and desperately hid behind me. Her sister-in-law saw her action and immediately pointed at her and cursed with a ferocious face. "You little bitch! You are really ungrateful. I would rather raise a dog than you, and I know how to wag its tail when I see it." I immediately interrupted loudly, "Please pay attention. Anne is my child now, and no one has the right to say such things to her." My mom smiled and eased her anger and said, "Chelsea, don't be angry, we are here this time to tell you good news." I never hope for the good news they say, but now I am in this public place, and I am afraid that they will cry, make trouble, and hang themselves again, so I simply stood aside and listened. "Your sister-in-law has introduced you to a man with particularly good conditions, and you will go on a blind date tomorrow, and people are very satisfied with you." It sounds so nice, a man with good conditions can still take his turn to get to me? Isn't it just because they are afraid that I will be even more difficult to handle after taking in, and they want to find a man to tie me down? I sneered and refused directly. My mom seemed to have guessed that I would refuse, and the tears fell immediately as if they were ready. She cried and pulled me, accusing me loudly. "Chelsea, Mom knows you are very angry about Mom arranging a blind date for you, but Mom is also thinking about you. I'm just afraid that no one will take care of you after I die. What will you do then?" Everyone's eyes were attracted by this sentence, and they pointed at me and began to condemn. "That's right, this is all the heart of parents, it's all for your own good. Yes, yes, parents won't harm you." I saw the situation escalating and had no choice but to reluctantly agree. I wanted to see what kind of trouble they were planning. The next morning, Mom and sister-in-law were waiting outside my door. To prevent them from noticing that most of the luggage had already been moved, I did the door outside. Before leaving, I squatted down and repeatedly instructed Anne, "Did you hear what Auntie said? You absolutely cannot go out or open the door to anyone. Auntie will be back soon." Anne nodded obediently. I hadn't asked her to change her way of addressing me, and she told me that in her heart, Mom was bad, but Auntie was good. So she didn't want to call her Mom. When I went out, they were both suspiciously peering inside. I immediately closed the door, almost squeezing their heads. "Ouch, what are you doing? Can you afford to hurt your sister-in-law?" I looked at them with extreme impatience. "Then how about we don't go?" "I don't want to go anyway." With that, I immediately prepared to open the door and go home, but they dragged me onto the elevator. Sister-in-law was grimacing in pain but still said with a smile, "Chelsea, don't listen to Mom. I'm fine. Let's go quickly, or we'll be late and they'll get angry." However, this time it wasn't the balding, greasy man I had imagined. Instead, it was a clean-cut young guy. This set off alarm bells in my head. This definitely wasn't the type of person they would introduce to me. The man introduced himself, accompanied by a violent coughing fit. I understood immediately, so I put on an incredibly enthusiastic act. When he went to the bathroom, I left my contact information, along with a hotel name, telling him to wait for me that night. I would send him the room number directly, and he could come over. He came out and immediately added me on WeChat. Gone was the earlier reticence, replaced by several disgusting emojis he boldly sent. I swallowed my nausea and sent him a message. "Mom and sister-in-law are pretty conservative. I don't want them to know about what we're doing tonight." He immediately replied with a "I understand" emoji. I looked at the information my friend had helped me find on the man, and a smile curled on my lips. This was going to be a good show. Before the afternoon even arrived, this disgusting guy started pressuring me. I sent him the room number. The hotel didn't require a key card, you could just enter the code. I quickly sent the code to my friend, waiting for the show to begin that night. I had booked a flight for 11 p.m. that night. In theory, there was enough time. But I didn't expect that the two of them would be so in sync, impatiently rushing over so early. When Mom called me crying, I was already at the police station. The disgusting guy was covered in blood, and my brother was a mess. When I saw this, I rushed forward and asked, "What happened? What happened? Don't you know? Weren't you supposed to meet this man tonight? Where were you?" Mom screamed at me hysterically. I immediately feigned innocence. Sister-in-law sent me a message saying I didn't need to go, that he had something to do. I sent him a message, but he didn't reply. The disgusting guy naturally knew what he had done and just lowered his head, saying nothing. From Mom's sobs, I learned that sister-in-law had miscarried, and the miscarriage was caused by overly vigorous sex. And all of this was caused by the man in front of me. My brother had severely injured him, and the disgusting guy was shouting that my brother had to go to jail. He didn't want a penny in compensation. Mom grabbed my hand and pleaded with me. "Chelsea, you have to save your brother. If you don't help him, he's finished." I slowly pulled my hand away and asked calmly, "Mom, in your heart, am I always less important than brother?" Mom looked impatient. "What kind of time is this? Hurry up. Getting money to save your brother is what's important." I smiled, nodded, and said to them, "Okay, I'll bring the money tomorrow morning." Mom happily nodded. "Then hurry up." I turned to look at my brother. He still had that arrogant look on his face. I walked out with firm steps. Of course, the WeChat message from sister-in-law that I owed them wasn't real. But right now, they weren't thinking straight. I just needed to find a new WeChat account with the same profile picture and name. My friend had also discovered that this man was sister-in-law's first love. I didn't know if she knew about the man's issues. I had my friend use software to send texts between sister-in-laws and the disgusting guy's cell phone numbers, making it look like they had arranged to meet. As for what happened next, it was all up to them. If they both had enough self-control, this wouldn't have happened. When I took into the airport, I asked her, "Won't you be sad to leave?" And shook her head firmly. "No, I'm very happy." I changed all my contact information, including making sure that no one at the company could reveal where I went. The next time I heard about them was a year later, when a friend went to our old neighborhood on business and saw Mom picking up trash. She asked a neighbor and found out that Mom had been waiting at the police station for 5 or 6 days, barely eating or drinking, because she believed I would come back and give her the money. She wouldn't have left if she hadn't collapsed. After waking up, she sold the house to get the money, but my brother was still sentenced to 6 months. Sister-in-law had contracted a disease because of what happened, and she couldn't have children. Plus, my brother could never forgive her. She stole all the jewelry from the house and ran away. After my brother got out, he couldn't find a job, so he just lay around at home drinking. Every day after he finished drinking, he would curse and beat Mom. But Mom still endured it, believing that my brother could still give her a grandson. 2 months ago, my brother was sentenced to 15 years for assaulting a woman walking at night. Mom finally gave up on the idea of having a grandson. She had looked for me, looked for Anne, but no one knew where we were. After a year, she finally gave up on us. Now she's old and has to make a living by picking up trash. My friend asked me, should I give her some money every month? I refused. I could never be kind to someone who had harmed me in 2 lifetimes. After replying to my friend's message, Anne came in smiling. "Auntie, do you want to watch me practice piano?" "Okay." I smiled and looked at Anne in front of me. I am very happy with this life. I will raise this child. I expect her the person she expects to be.